Malinaw na nalalaman dahil malinaw ang balitaan. Totoong nationwide, totoong buong Pilipinas ang nakikinig. Luzon, DZRH Isabela, DZRH Dagupan, DZRH Lawag, DZRH Lucena, DZRH Naga, DZRH Tugigaraw, DZRH Sorsogon, DZRH Palawan, Visayas, DZRH Bacolod, DZRH Cebu, DZRH Iloilo, DZRH Tacloban, Mindanao, DZRH Davao, DZRH Zamboanga, DZRH Cagayan de Oro, DZRH General Santos, DZRH Cotabato. Malinaw at totoo. DZRH Nationwide. Isang bansa, isang DZRH.
This is Manila Broadcasting Company, DZRH-TV Channel 51.
Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Patnubay at gabay ng magulang ay kailangan sa mga batang manonood.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
From this room, NBC sent you its reports, hour by hour, and sometimes even minute by minute, on the greatest news story of all time, the Second World War.
American businessmen introduced radio to the Philippines in the 1920s as a commercial enterprise that would promote their consumer goods to Filipinos. Department store owner Isaac Beck's KZIB, along with the Radio Corporation of the Philippines KZRM Radio Manila and KZRC Radio Cebu, led other entities that contributed to the growth and stability of the radio business well into the 1930s. RCP eventually sold its network to department store owners Erlanger and Gallinger, while Samuel Gatches, owner of the department store H.E. Hika Company, put up KZRH, known as Radio Hickok, in 1939. Filipinos then were in an era of flapper modernism, adapting more and more to American ways. Radio broadcasts centered on music, variety shows, comedy skits, and short newscasts. Jazz and ballads became standard fare, with the English language, Western music, and American voices dominating the airwaves. Radio supplemented the educational infrastructure established by the Thomasites and became an agent for the Americanization of Uncle Sam's Little Brown Brother. But with Asia being drawn into the vortex of the Second World War, KZRH station manager Bertrand Silent was appointed chief coordinator of information by the American High Commissioner.
This is Rich Silent speaking from Manila, and this time I've got a real scoop for you. Manila has just been bombed. In fact, right now it is being bombed. And without warning,
instead of destroying KZRH equipment, as the USFA had done to the other stations to prevent their use by the Imperial forces, Silent staff brought a shortwave transmitter to Corregidor and built a makeshift radio station, which General Douglas MacArthur christened as the Voice of Freedom.
The President of the United States ordered me to break through the Japanese lines, the primary object of which is the relief of the Philippines. I came through, and I shall return.
However, Japanese forces eventually found equipment hidden in the basement of the Hickok building in Escolta. and used these to continue broadcasting as KZRH. And it was here that General Jonathan Wainwright eventually announced the use of a surrender to the Japanese Imperial Army.
This is Lieutenant General Wainwright. Subject, surrender. After reading General Homer, with no agreement between us, I decided to accept, in the name of humanity, his proposal. Surrender all troops.
The call letters were changed to PIAM, and the station bombarded listeners with music, language, literature, and even calisthenics, the Nippon Way.
People of the Philippines, I have returned. By the grace of Almighty God,
MacArthur's return and the American Declaration of Independence for the Philippines signaled the post-war reconstruction of Philippine radio. The Elizalde family bought KZRH from the Hickok Company and with Silent's help acquired equipment from the National Broadcasting Company in New York to establish operations at the Insular Life Building on Plaza Cervantes. KZRH was back on the air under the auspices of Manila Broadcasting Company on July 1, 1946, just in time to cover the inauguration of the Second Philippine Republic with Manuel Rojas as president.
newly elected to the presidency, takes the oath of office as Ambassador Paul McNutt looks on.
The listening audience became excited as new programming genres spearheaded the phenomenal growth of the radio industry after the war. Even the government developed its own network under the Philippine Broadcasting Service, which aired educational and agricultural programs in cooperation with the Bureau of Public Schools. Big band music, vaudeville, language, and literature flourished hand in hand with the broadcast sector.